Welcome back to Pace Immigration one more time with immigration lawyer extraordinaire Andy Semichuk. Time for the speed round where we take questions Facebook, LinkedIn, the blog, wherever we get them, and we answer them right here with Andy. Ready to go?
Ready. Let's go.
All right. The first one is love on the internet. Andy, all right.
Good.
We get questions like this once in a while. This is just one picked at random. It says, I am in love with a Filipino woman and we have been together for 1 year. How can we be together? And apparently they met. I asked a question further on down the line, and apparently they met on Facebook.
Excellent.
What's the story?
Okay. I'm a real believer in this area. I've met a lot of couples and helped a lot of couples who ultimately came to the United States or to Canada by meeting on the internet. And of course, it's first emails back and forth. Well, first some website, then emails back and forth, then phone calls, then visits. And before you know it, they're in my office. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go means, in this person's case, they have to get married. There's no other way. The Philippines are an area where they're strong Catholic, and there's certain, taboos about the common law and that kind of stuff. So almost certainly in this case, the sponsoring spouse has to travel to the Philippines, get married there, and then sponsor the person in the Philippines to come to Canada or to the United States.
Okay. Next question, number 2. It's another similar vein. My question, I have a boyfriend from Canada. Does he sponsor me to come to Canada? I am from Afghanistan.
Okay, Afghanistan, same issue. They have to marry. Canada has the situation where you can't bring in a fiancé. You have to marry or be in a common law relationship. But I can't imagine someone from Canada and Afghanistan being in a common law relationship for a period of 1 year, which is the requirement in order to be able to sponsor. So again, they have to fly out, marry in Afghanistan. And I've actually had a couple just like that.
Okay.
A Canadian guy met an Indian woman who was stationed in Kabul.
Wow.
They married, and then the Canadian guy sponsored the woman to come. They actually married in India, and then the Canadian guy sponsored the woman to come to Canada. Sadly, that case didn't work out. In the end, they broke up. But
All right.
That's the way it goes.
But you handled your end with the immigration.
Immigration was no problem.
All right. He can't take care of everything.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Number 3, I submitted my file in September of 2011 with a medical report, and last month my agent got updated with this. The LMO attached to your application is not valid. Therefore, an extension period of 46 days has been issued from Service Canada. This was sent on 20th December 2011. I'm very worried if it's going to be okay. My application is preliminarily approved, and the medical reports have been submitted on September 2011. Sounds like, I guess, the LMO attached no longer valid. What does that mean?
Okay, so the LMO is the Labor Market Opinion. It's issued by Service Canada, which is like our Canadian Department of Labor.
Okay.
And the purpose there is to make sure that Canadians get first crack at jobs and they're not just given to foreigners just because a foreigner wants one. Evidently, in this case, the LMO was issued, but there's a time frame, and the time frame is coming to an end or has passed. And now the question is, what do we do in Canada? Evidently, the person is in Canada working in a temporary job, waiting for permanent status. And it's going along because he has already done the medicals.
Right.
So it's very close to the end. But essentially, this person is in a vice, trying to buy enough time to remain in Canada on a work permit until the approval comes, probably from Buffalo, to enable the person to stay in Canada permanently.
Wow.
And it's one of these shuffle. In other words, if the LMO is expiring, get a new LMO, or whatever it's going to take to keep you in Canada long enough for the approval to come through. But it sounds like it's going to work for this person.
Yeah, okay. Let's go on to number 4. We've had a lot of questions about Saskatchewan lately, and this
Yes.
is just one of them. Is there any other province that gives PR same like Saskatchewan PR being permanent residency?
Right.
So the program Saskatchewan, is it different from everybody else, or are there ones like it?
The Saskatchewan program is kind of looser in the requirements with respect to family class people,
Okay.
because they enable people who live in Saskatchewan for a period of at least 1 year to sponsor a family member from overseas. And basically, the family member either has to have $10,000 plus $2,000 for each additional family descendant. So, for example, like a son or daughter or whatever. in order to qualify to come to Canada, or a permanent job offer arranged obviously by the person living in Saskatchewan who is sponsoring the family member to come over. But what's so nice about Saskatchewan, and I have to thank Amarjot Singh, a friend of mine from Alberta that I used to work with, who passed on some comments about this, is that it's a program that's broader. In other words, for example, you can have nephews, nieces, even cousins, first cousins sponsoring family members. But the problem with it is the sponsoror has to be in Saskatchewan. And so if you're thinking about Saskatchewan, you either live in Saskatchewan or move to Saskatchewan for 1 year to enable you to sponsor your family member from overseas.
Okay.
There are other provinces that have programs like this, but not quite as generous in terms of the network of family members who can come in that
All right.
Saskatchewan does.
Good. Number 5, hi, I want to ask about this. I have a permanent residence card and I went to my country to get married. But what I want to know, if I can apply for my husband from Lebanon or if I have to go back to Canada and apply from Canada. Can you give me
Okay.
some advice?
Yes. What's going on here is the person involved is in Lebanon and thinking, can I stay with my husband until his papers are approved and then come to Canada, return to Canada? And that person, she has this challenge, which is as a permanent resident of Canada, in order to maintain your status, you must be physically present for 2 years cumulatively in any 5-year period of time. Otherwise, you lose your permanent resident status.
Okay.
That should be enough in normal circumstances to get the papers approved for this spouse to come to Canada. And you can file the papers from abroad saying, okay, I'm sponsoring my spouse, I'm a Canadian resident, I'm going to be in France or Lebanon or wherever until the papers are approved, but I'm coming back with my spouse to Canada. But in her case, one of the challenges may be, I don't know, but it could be that in the 5-year period, she doesn't have enough of the cumulative 2 years physical presence in Canada to make this happen. Probably she does, but she's got to keep her eye on that one little factor. Otherwise, it's okay. She can sponsor from Lebanon and come to Canada once the husband is approved.
Nice. All right, there you go. That's the speed round with Andy Semichuk. We'll be back next week with all your questions. Don't forget, put them on YouTube, the blog, mostly our Facebook page is getting all the hits, or you can find us on Twitter as well to put your questions down, and we will answer them. Bye for now.